Hey everyone, Final here. Today, I'll be showing you my quick and easy paint scheme for the Ancient in Terminator Armour, painted up as an ultramarine. As I always do, I'm building and painting this in sub-assemblies. I've built up the main body with a leg and tabard, and primed in Chaos Black. The right arm with the Stormbolter, also in Chaos Black. This one isn't 100% needed, I just like having sub-assemblies for the arms. The sword and sheath. Normally I leave these accessories on, but the sword hilt blocks a part of the Aquila, so I just took it off anyways. The left arm and banner. Just note, I'll be painting the banners separately, so feel free to skip ahead if that's all you wanted to see. The helmet, this time primed in Grey Sear. And the tilting shield. I had this one separate because I wanted to prime it with Grey Sear, but you can leave it assembled to the arm if you plan on priming it in Chaos Black as well. Alright, time for the ultramarine colors. I'm starting off with a nice thin coat of Macragge Blue. I thinned mine a little bit more than normal just so I can use the Citadel medium base brush. The consequence of that is that this will probably take me 3 coats. And here it is after 1 coat of Macragge Blue. If yours looks like this, don't panic, it'll be fixed up along the way. I'll also be painting the arms at the same time. I might not show clips of it, but it's all the same armor. After the first coat completely dries, I'll start working on the second coat. I don't want to put any paint on while the first layer is still wet, otherwise it'll end up really chunky. And here's what it'll look like after 3 thin coats. With the Macragge Blue done, now I'm going to wash the model with Nuln Oil. I really want to make sure that the Nuln Oil settles in the recesses. That'll give a nice contrast to the model and make the blue pop. Once all of the blue is washed, I'll let it dry for about half an hour or so, before doing a heavy dry brush using Macragge Blue. This will help clean up the blue and get rid of the tide marks left over from the wash. I'm making sure to go perpendicular to the recesses, that'll make sure that they stay shaded. Now the blue is looking nice and clean, but with the recess shading adding some contrast. Next, I'll be doing a lighter dry brush with Calgar Blue, focusing on the edges. This will help brighten up the overall model. And because I always forget, I'm putting on some Black Templar in the armor joints. And here's what the finished blue base coat looks like. Now onto the tabard. I'll be very carefully painting that with Rakarth Flesh. I'll also be painting Rakarth Flesh onto the Purity Seal and the parchment on the shoulder pad. For the tabard, I'll be washing it with Seraphim Sepia, making sure to not let it pool on the flat areas. After the Seraphim Sepia dries, I'll be doing a light dry brush using Rakarth Flesh. I'm using the dry brush to brighten up the edges and blend in the sepia. Then on the Purity Seal, I'll be washing that with a mixture of Agrax Earthshade and Lamian Medium, about 1:1, and same thing on the shoulder parchment. I'll then paint the seal part using Corn Red. Washing it with Nuln Oil, and then very carefully dry brushing it with Wazdaka Red. Next, I'll be working on the Crux Terminatus. I'm starting with a nice coat of Mechanicus Standard Grey. I'm also working on the shoulder one at the same time. After that, I'll wash it with Agrax Earthshade. Then I'll put on a light layer of Dawnstone. And that's it. For the sword and sheath, I'm painting the leather with Rhinox Hide. I'm also using Rhinox Hide on anything that's gold, for the sheath, the sword, and the Aquila. It'll help save time down the road. Now that that's done, I'll be washing the leather parts with Agrax Earthshade, and then dry brushing it with Gorthor Brown. You can do as heavy or light of a dry brush as you want. The heavier you go, the more distressed it looks. Moving over to the sword, I'll start by painting the handle with Corn Red. Washing it with Nuln Oil, and then dry brushing it with Wazdaka Red. Finally, I'll be putting on Retributor Armour to anything that's supposed to be gold. The Rhinox Hide helps reduce the number of coats that you need with the Retributor Armour. If you need more than 1 coat, make sure that the previous layer has dried completely first. I'll usually wait about 15 minutes between coats. Once I'm happy with the Retributor Armour, I'll wash all of it with Reikland Flesh Shade. followed by a dry brush using Terminator Armour, just to brighten things back up. And then a lighter dry brush using Liberator Gold, just to brighten up the edges. With the gold done, I'll start painting up the chain using Lead Belcher. And while I have the Lead Belcher out, I'll use it to paint up the targeter as well. After the Lead Belcher completely dries, I'll wash it with Nuln Oil. And after the Nuln Oil dries, I'll paint the little lens with Stormhost Silver. There's also a little gem on the Aquila. I'll paint that with Stormhost Silver as well. Then, I'll use Spirit Stone Red on the lens and the gem. Now, there's a ton of bolt heads and rivets on this model. I'm going to pull the Lead Belcher back out and paint them up. Just be very careful not to smudge it on the armor. And here's the fully painted main body. For the arms, even more Lead Belcher, this time for the cabling. I'll also be painting the metallic parts of the Stormbolter with Lead Belcher. It's okay if it accidentally gets on the black casing. I'll be repainting the black anyways. You know what's next. I'll be washing the metallic parts that I just painted with Nuln Oil. And after the wash dries, I'll be doing a light dry brush using Lead Belcher, aiming mainly for the edges but also hitting some flat surfaces. For the Stormbolter casing, I'll be using a Baden Black. I've noticed that a Baden Black either goes on too thick or too thin, so you might need a couple of extra coats. Once I'm happy with the Abaddon Black, I'll dry brush the edges with Eshin Grey. So far so good. Next up, I'll carefully paint the ammunition with Rune Lord Brass. Rune Lord Brass is really thin, so I'll need to make sure it's completely dry before washing it. Once it is dry, however, I'll wash it with Agrax Earthshade. And for the winged skull, I'll be doing Rhinox Hide, Terminator Armour, using some of that on the skull I forgot to paint, washing the gold with Reichland Flesh Shade, and finally more Terminator Armour. No dry brushing this time, it's too small of a detail. I'll just highlight the top of the wing and the skull. Now for the helmet, I've already primed it with Grey Sear, but I'll also be putting on a base layer of Grey Sear as well. That way the color matches the base paint a little bit better. Once again, I'll wash the whole helmet with Nuln Oil, and after it dries, I'll do a light dry brush using Grey Sear. I'm aiming to hit the edges. I don't want to hit too much of the flat areas because it'll end up looking chalky. After that, I'm back to our old friend Lead Belcher, and also Nuln Oil, and back to Lead Belcher, this time with dry brushing. With that all done, I'll be painting the eye lenses with White Scar. And then very carefully painting them with Blood Angel's Red Contrast. And there's the helmet all done. And here we are finally, the banner. I'll be starting off with Macragge Blue. You can paint the blue on at the same time as the armor, but I prefer to use a smaller brush because there's so many details to clog up. After the Macragge Blue, I'll be washing it with Nuln Oil mixed with Lamian Medium, about 1:1 for both. The details on the banner are too small, and I don't want to clog them up with the Nuln Oil. The Lamian Medium will help it stay in the recesses only, and leave the flat parts alone. I'll be doing a little bit of cleanup with a Macragge Blue dry brush, followed by a light Calgar Blue dry brush on the edges and on the folds of the fabric. Onto the actual details of the banner. I'll start off by painting any white bits with Grey Sear. Because I primed it and base coated it with a dark color, it might take quite a few coats for the Grey Sear to stick. Just don't rush and let each coat completely dry. I'll also be painting the laurels with Grey Sear as well. And here's what it'll look like so far. I think it took me 3 to 4 coats of Grey Sear. Now on this little shield decoration, I'll be painting the red parts with Mephiston Red. I just need to be extra careful not to hit any of the gray sear. Once I'm done with the Mephiston red, I'm going to wash all 3 emblems down here with Nuln Oil thinned with Lamian Medium. Again, 1:1. That'll help darken up the recesses, but leaving the base color mostly alone. Now for the laurels, I started with Warp Lightning Contrast Paint. Once that dries, it gives me a nice coat of green, but a little bright. I'll wash the laurels with Athonian Camo Shade. That'll keep the rich green color, but darken it down a little bit. Now time for the gold with our usual Rhinox Hide. Followed by Retributor Armour. There's a lot of flat parts on here, so I'll likely be doing 2 coats of Retributor Armour. Once I'm happy with it, I'll wash it with Reikland Flesh Shade, but only on the eagle and the winged skull. I like the shade of gold on the trim, so I'll keep it as is. And again, once it dries, I'll do a light dry brush with Retributor Armour, just to bring back some of the shine. The eagle has a gem on it, so I'll start off again with Stormhose Silver, and then Spirit Stone Red. Finally, I'll be painting up the parchment and the purity seals using Rakarth Flesh. Followed by Agrax Earthshade, thinned to 1:1 with Lamian Medium. And then for the seals, Corn Red, Nuln Oil, and for the banner pole, it'll be Leadbelcher, washed with Nuln Oil. And here's the banner, mostly done. Now after a little bit of transfer and assembly magic, here's the final model. 1 Ultramarine, Ancient, and Terminator Armour. The banner was kind of nerve-wracking for me, but overall I had a lot of fun with this model, and I hope you'll enjoy yours too. I went through the banner a little quickly, but it was all steps that we had already used before earlier in the video. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this quick and easy paint guide. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.